All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning, all. Wow, it's our Friday show. There were parts of this week and parts of prior programs that made me even wonder if we were going to make it to Friday, just to be honest.
But here we are, yeah.
We are here. Kim is here. Kim, how are you?
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, all right, yeah. And Tony is here to get us kicked off. What up, T?
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. Tony, I have a news that I wanted to ask you about. From our contributors. You know, we're only on the air, really, because of you, the people who support us. We're a completely crowd-funded show, you know. I come from the world of broadcast where you go on and then, you know, you speak for 8, 9, 10 minutes or whatever, then a BMW commercial runs or a, I don't know, Denny's commercial, yeah. Right, McDonald's, whatever. Yeah, medical thing. Yeah, cars for kids. We don't have that anymore. Now we just go right through. It's
good Lord.
Yeah, that's right. And in return, well, yes, in return we're crowdfunded. But point is, we try to acknowledge people who have funded us, and I do have a bit of a controversy, and I will share it with you now.
Oh no!
Yes, and then I'll tell you what's on the show. But with the controversy involves someone who is a regular contributor. Now, people can contribute, as you're aware. Right now, there's a contribution from RJ, for example, here on YouTube. Okay, folks, let's throw money at Mark until he gives Kim the rod of equity and mercy.
Oh,
wow.
RJ, thank you, my friend.
Well, RJ, I can be bought, and so thank you for that. Yeah, I will say that $20 is definitely the road to the rod of equity and mercy. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I do want to mention, though, that the other ways besides YouTube, besides the super stickers and super chats that people contribute, are associated with PayPal and Patreon. And PayPal and Patreon are really good ways to contribute as well. And the way we acknowledge the people who are regular contributors on PayPal and Patreon is with this scroll at the end of the show. Thank you, Jan, for the super sticker, by the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And the scroll is updated regularly. Tony gets to it like once a month, tries to get to it more frequently, but every month we try to update it.
Absolutely.
And there's Walter. What up, Walter? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For the $10. And once in a while, though, I guess a name gets into the outfield on Tony. I mean, he seems so, I would say, close to perfection, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
You know, but but apparently, and Beth Farmer now throwing in $20 for the rod of equity and mercy that she feels that Kim deserves. As you know, I feel Kim is not really deserving of the rod of equity and mercy yet, but I am quickly being brought over.
But if anything, it probably should be taken away from me and given to her.
Kim, how are you?
Yes, because a name got past Tony. I think the bylaws don't allow me to remove the rod of equity and mercy and the associated blessings from Tony.
Receive the rod of
so
equity
I don't
and
know,
mercy.
but I can't take it away from him. He's already had it bestowed upon him. But Luis says, here's $19.99. Show Kim some mercy. Give her the rod. Well, I'm well on my way to trying to bestow those blessings because of your generosity this morning. But now let me get to the person who got into the outfield on the otherwise perfect Tony. I got this email, and it was one of several from this person. Her name is Gala. Not Gail, okay? Gala. Gayla. That's why with a distinctive name like that, we could go back and see. Yeah. She is a Patreon member and has been for months. She should have been acknowledged, and she hasn't been.
What?
Yes.
I looked at the last three, all going back to March, and that name's never been on there. So
Gala,
I messed up good.
Gayla. She has been a regular supporter of ours for months now. Kelly, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I want to give Gayla a big shout out. And thank you for the ongoing contribution. And I also want to
I'll give her a bonus font size.
chastise.
I'll give her a big font.
Chastise
It'll
is a
be
ding
it.
word. I want to chastise Tony for forgetting to give Gayla a little love at the end of the show. And that's, you get the whip. Seldom used whip. Yeah. Tony, as you know, is, as I say, without fault typically. He's the glue that holds this show together.
Thanks, Tony.
But somehow, some way, he became distracted with the 1,400 jobs he has, and Gayla got into the outfield. Wow.
Well, Tony, what angered you?
Well, maybe he was angered by something. You're right. Anyway, Harry says Target has rods on sale for $10. Well, Kim, maybe before the end of the show, based largely on the generosity of the audience, you'll receive the rod of equity and mercy, but you are not eligible for it yet.
Receive
no,
the rod
no.
of equity
And
mercy.
You're not eligible
So
for it
you're
yet.
saying that I won't deserve it. It will have been bought. Is that correct?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly.
Whereas
Right.
Tony got it because he was deserving of it, and he earned it. I will not have earned it. I will have just paid my way, slept my way to the top, really.
Well, this is the problem, and I think you you are identifying one of the issues with you, Kim. That you can't just rejoice in receiving something. You have to cynically look at how it was brought to you. So you're saying, oh, so I'm not really deserving. I'm actually just getting it bought for me by the audience. What's wrong with that? You need to drink in the magic of the rod.
Receive the rod
Thank
of
you.
equity and mercy.
What if Charles had said, well, so I'm not really getting the rod of equity and mercy because I deserve it. I'm getting it because I happen to be related to the person who died. I mean, he doesn't do that. You have to rejoice and drink in the rod of equity and mercy. If you get it, and it does, it looks good on your resume, Kim, says Square.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. Right. Yeah.
Girl, you just woo.
So let's hope that you get it today. Spencer, thank you for the $10 for, or as I like to say, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We have quite the show, but while I'm on this, I wonder if I can just take a moment to recognize the people who on PayPal have just recently again supported us. I got into the PayPal and Patreon people, and I love everybody who goes to PayPal and Patreon and does contribute on a monthly basis or even on a one-time level. And I'll say that you can reach both those things, Patreon and PayPal, by doing what? By going to our website, which is The Mark Thompson Show. You have to write The Mark Thompson Show, otherwise you end up at a Christian ventriloquist website.
Don't want
And
that.
by the way, I have no problem with Christian ventriloquism. It's just that he doesn't need your support. I need it. Cabo Jeff, $20 for Kim's, there's a super sticker for Kim's Rod of Equity and Mercy.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Either way, you can still hit Mark over the head once you get it, Vivian says. That's exactly right. Vivian is not wrong.
That is true, David. Stars on the Walk of Fame are bought and paid for, too. That's right.
Yes, you see more and more. You have to just drink in the recognition, you know. So I wanted to acknowledge Nancy V., who early this morning contributed $20 on PayPal, another $25 from Mike, another payment from Gary M. I don't like to use people's last names unless they say it's okay. You know, I don't want people to get doxxed. So, but $50 on PayPal. Irene F. Thank you. Payment from Susan. That's what it says. Payment from Susan W. Brian V. Madeline, who is with us every month. She contributes a little something. Thank you. Richard D. is not only a contributor, but he sends an email from time to time. He's a massive contributor on PayPal. Thank you so much. Or as I like to say, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
William L., who is another one. Gary H., Kathleen M., Donna H., Raymond, Lori, Lori above the bar, but then there's another Lori N. She comes in at a very heavy level, and I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you so much. Yes, indeed. Thank you, Wes, for the super sticker for 5. And Teresa W. and Scott M. and Brian V. And Spencer Christian contributed a huge amount. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Spencer. And next week, we will be bringing Spencer Christian into a program to rejoice and drink in the magic that is Spencer Christian, but also to recognize his recent award. He received an Edward R. Murrow Award for his podcast. Spencer, we love you. But many have stepped up, as has Spencer. So go to themarkthompsonshow.com. You can click through to Patreon and PayPal. But again, everybody's name who's part of that crew, who are Patreon and PayPal contributors, you are the mother's milk of this show. You're the reason we're on. And those of you with super stickers and super chats here on YouTube, thank you. We are crowdfunded and so appreciated that. Sally Thompson, $10 for Kim on Social Security and limited budget, but here's for a drink for Kim and a friendly thumbing of the nose to Mark and his rod. How dare you? How dare you? Thank you. I have mixed emotions. My goodness.
Wow.
I will. I'll revisit all of this as time permits in the days ahead. And Kim, we're close to the threshold to give you the rod of equity and mercy, but you have to be prepared to receive it. Okay, you do have to receive it.
Wes thinks I shouldn't.
Wes thinks that after all this time, Kim should politely refuse the rod. Wow.
What?
Yeah.
But I like that strategy, though, Wes. I do like that strategy. And speaking of parties that can't seem to work it out, let's quickly touch on a couple of headlines, and then we'll get into what's...
The Mark Thompson Show.
As you know, Washington is really walking the line when it comes to raising the budget ceiling. Republicans have walked out of that debt ceiling talk. They say the White House isn't being reasonable. Wow.
Good day, sir.
High-stakes talks on the debt ceiling come to a halt today. It's unclear if the negotiations are going to resume this weekend. You know, Kevin McCarthy was saying, we need to reach a deal this weekend because it takes time to get this all worked out. The financial markets have dipped as a result of all of this. We decided to press pause because it's just not productive, these talks, according to Congressman Garrett Graves from Louisiana, Republican congressman. There are real differences between the parties on budget issues, and talks are going to be difficult. The president's team, says the White House spokesman, is working hard toward a reasonable bipartisan solution that can pass the House and the Senate. It's very interesting, and we'll talk more about this with Michael Shore and Jim Avila, who are coming up top of the hour. They do regular analysis on Fridays. But the dug-in nature of politics in America now, both sides are essentially angry at the president for different reasons. And here's what I mean, and then we'll move on. As I say, we'll get into this in greater detail. But the right is angry for all the reasons you know, well advertised, right? Democrats spend too much. We need some concessions when it comes to spending and appropriations when it comes to various capital expenditures on the part of this administration for the future. We need those guarantees. Otherwise, we're not going to raise this limit. And they address all of the specifics there. They want sort of means testing, essentially, for a lot of the government program subsidies that are provided. But the reason that President Biden is getting a hard time from the left is what? He's viewed as caving by even negotiating on these things, as the White House has said they will do, by even negotiating on these points with the GOP, the left is of the Democratic Party I'm talking about is angry at Biden for that. So Biden's in a very tough spot. Biden, who is a kind of down-the-middle guy, and that's in a way one of the things that bothers me about him, he is trying to broker some kind of arrangement. The left wants him to do what? Hold the line and play the 14th Amendment card.
Right.
So we'll talk to Jim and Michael about that and about the reasonable possible strategies to some kind of solution. I would suggest to you it is a different time, and this is a different negotiation than we've seen in the past. But both those guys feel as though it's a negotiation to yes, and that's what the White House has said. You know, we're negotiating to yes. So the bottom of the hour brings Friday Fabulous Florida to you. Also in the next hour, I'll mention the Culture Blaster. Michael Snyder will be by, so that's kind of what's ahead. There is a bizarre but sort of understandable court case that's going to be going on. It's
The Mark Thompson Show.
the groom whose wife was killed in that wedding night crash. It was such a terrible tragedy. We reported on it some weeks ago. Now suing the driver and the bars that were allegedly visited by this Jamie Komorowski, is that how she says her last name? 25 years old. She was noticeably and visibly intoxicated, say these lawsuits. And as a result, these bars should never have served her. She got behind the wheel after an alleged booze-filled day of bar hopping. And now the groom, whose wife was struck and killed in that car crash, happened in South Carolina. And it happened on their wedding night, which made it even more bizarre and awful. Suing the alleged drunk driver and the bars that she visited and drank in before she got behind the wheel. Just filed a lawsuit this week in South Carolina's 9th Judicial Court Circuit. And what can you do? The suit alleging that employees of the bars that Komorowski allegedly visited that night, it happened April 28th, overserved her, even though she was noticeably and visibly intoxicated, as I say. He was seriously injured, the groom was in this, sustained a brain injury and broken bones. A witness reported that Komorowski, the driver, dazed and confused at the scene and reportedly said, "I did nothing wrong," and that she wanted to go home.
Not going home, honey.
No. This is going to be one big, ugly mess. Komorowski, of course, arrested, charged with 1 count of reckless homicide, 3 counts of felony DUI resulting in great bodily harm. And her attorney said that he was not representing her in this civil case, right? She's got the criminal case for the DUI and what I've just described. But in the civil case, it's a lawsuit, and it's a totally different legal endeavor, but grim nonetheless. I mean, pretty awful. But that's the latest on that case. It just broke this week, and so...
The Mark Thompson Show.
In California, we're expecting hot weather this weekend, and here's what the flood risks look like. I mean, they're serious. There's this dome of high pressure. Have you seen all the smoke, by the way, coming from Canada that's now in the west?
Yeah, well, I haven't seen it, but I read about it, yeah.
Yeah, the air quality is bad. But warm weather and unsettled weather is likely going to lead to another round of snowmelt-related floods and river rises across the Sierra. Thank you, Al Anonymous, for Kim's iron cylinder. Forget the rod of
inequity.
Wow, you call it inequity. How dare you, Al Anonymous? My God.
Thank you, Anonymous.
Yeah, many residents in the Central Valley the past couple of weeks have been, seeing these temperatures in the 90s, Kim, as you're well aware. Temperatures in Yosemite and Tahoe have steadily risen into the 60s and 70s. It's getting warm all over the state. I mean, summer is coming. The warmth is set to build across the Sierra this weekend. Temperatures rising in the upper 70s across most of the Sierra. Warm temperatures are going to spread across the mountains, and monsoon-like moisture will also be brought in by this area of high pressure. The moisture won't make it to the coast, meaning the residents in the Bay Area and along the California coastline aren't going to deal with the same levels of humidity, for example, from earlier this month. But the Sierra will capture all of this kind of like a net. And weather models expect that the hot air overhead, forecast to run 15 degrees warmer than the average for the Sierra, will mix with the approaching moisture. And you could have major flood damage as a result. There are flood watches posted across some of the hot spots, streams, rivers, lakes across the foothills of the Sierra, Walker, West Fork, and Merced rivers. And there are flood watches for most of the Sierra Range through Monday morning. Conditions around waterways are going to be at an elevated risk for flooding, they're saying. A hot, stormy weekend.
I was reading one official said, don't go to the rivers. You're not going to get out alive. I mean, I don't think that's the case across the board, but that was a pretty, heavy-handed remark.
Agreed.
What can you tell us about the scene?
The scene's pretty heavy-handed, Larry. The flooding can really be a problem this weekend with the hot temperatures.
What can you tell us about the scene?
A slight warm-up on tap for Sunday, too. God. Anyway, it's don't mess with it. I mean, no one's getting out alive.
The Mark Thompson Show.
That's a great thing when officials say that.
Yeah. Don't get in. You'll never
Don't go
get
there.
Out. Yeah.
Yes. From director Wes Craven. The flooding weekend. Lakes are shrinking worldwide.
That's weird.
What's that? Yeah. This story, the world's largest lakes will start shrinking dramatically. 1/4 of the world's population lives in the basin of a drying lake. So it's really something that has been, it's the evolution of the planet, in effect. Lori says this: I just wanted to make sure that Daniel D. gets credit for the PayPal contribution that I made for him. He's a huge fan, but not able to donate electronically. And just give her the damn whatever it is already, please. Wait a minute.
We love you, Lori.
We do love you, Lori. And what? We love everybody at the Red Jack.
Yeah.
Noted about Daniel D. I'll work on that one, too.
Okay. Thank you. Tony is going to give yeah, I think.
Thanks, Tony.
I do believe Daniel D., and I'm going to do this now while I'm talking, so I'll be a little bit distracted. I do believe Daniel D. contributed $50 or something.
That's
a lot.
Really
yeah,
kind.
that's really cool, man. Thank you so much. Or as I like to say, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I believe it was, it might have been on Patreon, but
the Red Jack where Lori hangs out.
Lori actually dedicates a portion of the martinis, which they sell at the Red Jack Saloon in San Francisco, and you should go there. And by the way, here's the deal on the Red Jack Saloon for those who may be just visiting San Francisco. The deal on the Red Jack is if you just knock around on Yelp or whatever or TripAdvisor, they get these incredibly good reviews. Everybody adores the Red Jack, so you should go check it out. It's a good, kind of down home spot, like a real bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and everybody is so welcoming there.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you. I'll double check it, but yes, I did see it, and I will be sure to. I guess on this day when we're kind of taking care of business that way, Tony will get to it for sure. But I did see the message, Lori. So thank you very much, and I'll stir it up a little bit later. Okay. Karen with $20 super sticker. What up, Karen? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And I want to give you all of you who've contributed to get Kim her rod of equity and mercy. I want to give you a thank you. When we come back, I do want to get into Florida. Before I get into, Florida, we typically do news that is associated with kind of misbehavior and weirdness. But today I want to start with what's happening with Desantis. And he's gotten into a back and forth with Disney with real world consequences. But I also want to say before I get to that, and I will get to it, and I'll detail it for you a bit. And then we'll talk to Avila and Shore about this. He's also doing things in Florida that are so reprehensible and so disgusting when it comes to public policy that you see how these wedge cultural issues can be used politically, and they have real-world consequences. So the Disney thing has real-world, reprehensible is a ding word. The real-world consequences of this Disney thing are manifest, right? You're losing a tax base. It's about $756 million in tax benefits that Disney is giving up by not going now to set up their huge employee campus there in Florida. And they're doing it for reasons associated with the way they're being treated by the government in Florida run by Ron DeSantis. But the other thing that's happening there is you've got real, essentially book burning. You have books being removed. You have teachers being removed from classrooms because of, we gave you the story the other day, the gay character that showed up in that Disney animated movie that was all about the environment. It's a Disney animated feature, and there happens to be a gay character in it, and they literally, a parent complained to the school board, and they brought this teacher in for, administrative back and forth, and finally the teacher said, you know what, I'm done. I'm just not teaching anymore. This is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is what you do. You make it so hard to effectively pursue a lesson plan that teachers just give it up. That's how you dry clean history, and that's how you dry clean the culture of any diversity and anything associated with, in this case, it's the gay, it's sexuality, if you want to think of it that way. But it's also, this is no indoctrination or grooming or whatever the hell words they use. This is just the giant hand of government coming out of these GOP leaders who claim to be small government, right? They were so bummed with you for, putting in mask mandates and telling them, closing the schools. You can't tell me how to educate my kids, blah, 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 blah. But now they're going after trans kids in Florida. So all I'm saying is you've really got an oversized government hand in Florida. And finally, Disney is biting back. And because of Disney's view on the sexuality question, on the gay question, on the don't say gay bill, as it's being called, Disney pushed away from involvement in Florida and this expansive $1 billion investment in the state of Florida. That's a real world consequence and bottom line consequence of those draconian measures that they're taking. Draconian is a ding word. So that's what...
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Well, the reason that it's fun is because Disney's a fun experience. But what's happening in FLA right now is anything but cool. And now DeSantis, who's now officially, a presidential candidate, he is going to, cause this ridiculousness to affect the bottom line of Florida. So
I was reading that, they were going to have a bunch of employees from California relocate to this $1 billion Florida campus that they're now not building.
Some had already moved.
They have to pay now to move them back to California. Imagine that upheaval. Your whole life's in California. Your company says, move to Florida. You move to Florida. Now you got to move back to California.
Yeah, as Kim says, it's 2,000 jobs.
Yeah.
So, no small commitment on the part of Disney. And so to turn that Disney cruise ship around, metaphorically, to turn that huge plan around, that took tremendous fortitude on the part of Disney and the part of Bob Iger, who's, the returning CEO. So that's just some of the Florida news. We'll get to the weirder stuff. Does involve nudity. Does indeed include reptiles. And maybe, Kim, I'm caving now. The rod of equity and mercy will find its way to you.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, but you have to be ready to receive it. All right.
Receive the rod of equity and mercy.
You've got to be ready to receive it. You've got to have your head in the right place on this. So.
Well, it's kind of like asking someone to the prom or to be engaged to marry you. You have to ask first and see what the answer is.
I don't quite understand that.
Seriously, what the? I mean, you just never know whether my head is in the right place.
Oh,
to accept the
I
rod or
see.
not.
So you may not accept it. All right. Well, that's something. All right.
Maybe coming right back at you, pal.
Wow, that's
What?
But that's your own business, I guess. But all right. All that still to come. Smash the like button like a boss. We haven't mentioned that today. Hit us with a thumbs up.
Smash it with your iron
Yeah,
rod.
smash it with your iron rod. Mark Thompson show. Yeah.
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by the lovely, lovely people at Tenuta Vineyards in Livermore.
Tenuta!
We love them. Let's, though, as Mark was discussing, start with the Disney situation, because Central Florida leaders are now expressing disappointment that Disney is canceling a major construction project that was expected to bring thousands of jobs to their state. Orange County of Florida Mayor Jerry Demings issued a statement saying it is unfortunate the entertainment giant will not be moving forward with plans to build the $1 billion Lake Nona campus. He says, however, there are the consequences when there isn't an inclusive, collaborative work environment between the state of Florida and the business community. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer says he too is disappointed with the news, but says, hey, there's a lot of companies that do want to invest in the community. Disney cited changing business conditions as one of the reasons it was scrapping plans to move a California division to Florida.
One thing that Iger did say on this is he made the point that, much is talked about regarding Disney's relationship and how they run the state, and they get special dispensations, they get special kind of tax breaks. And he said, we do get tax breaks and tax benefits, but if you look at our situation in terms of the relationship we have with the state, it's one shared by thousands of companies that do business in the state of Florida. So he was making the point, Iger was, in his address to, and I heard him actually say it, I listened to a portion of the address. He said, we don't really have this oversized relationship with the state of Florida when you look at the other relationships they have with other companies that occupy the state. So,
yeah, well, I don't know. It seems like Florida may have shot itself in the foot with this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is a representative, Florida representative, Republican, who wants to expel California Democrat Adam Schiff from Congress. Her name is Representative Anna Paulina Luna, and she filed a motion to expel Schiff following the release of the Durham report, which she claims proves Schiff pushed lies about former President Trump's ties to Russia. Schiff was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and led Trump's first impeachment. He claimed in the past that Trump and his campaign colluded with the Russian government to influence the 2016 election. The report released this week by special counsel John Durham concluded the FBI didn't have sufficient information to even open an investigation into Trump's ties to Russia. So
I'll just say one thing about that. I mean, if you were to leaving the specifics of the Durham report and who Durham was aside, but if you were to expel members of Congress for investigations that turned into dead ends, what would you do with Benghazi, where they brought it up, I don't know, was it 35 different times in terms of formal investigations? That was taxpayer money spent on that. Or even the most recent one, this just happened, the GOP with that investigation of the Bidens and some kind of unhealthy or corrupt relationship they had I'm talking about business relationship they had, with some, squiring away millions of dollars. It turns out there was no wrongdoing on the part of the Biden administration based on their reporting. Okay. So when are we going to start the busloads of Congress people who have to be expelled from Congress based on dead end investigations is my point. I mean, the buses will never stop.
Are you saying the place is going to be emptied out?
Exactly.
Oh.
I mean, sadly,
Anna
they
Luna.
spend a lot of time doing that crap. Yeah.
Anna Paulina Luna, that's her name. Okay, so something is kind of hanky maybe in the South Bay. This is the CEO now responding, the CEO of Sutter, responding to reports of alleged racial discrimination against Black doctors at the hospital. 3 doctors blame CEO Warner Thomas. Thomas sent a letter to Sutter's board of directors earlier this week about major reforms, including making a diversity council for physicians. There are more than 20 Sutter hospital locations in Northern California, with its headquarters in Sacramento. And NBC Bay Area worked on this report. They aired multiple investigative reports about these allegations where at least 3 Black doctors say they are being completely discriminated against and treated poorly.
So they're angry about there is a diversity board or there's not? I'm unclear on this.
There is not.
Okay.
And it looks like one of the fixes to this is the CEO, who's being blamed for the atmosphere of racism, is saying that they need to put one in place.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. They would like to make a diversity council specifically for the doctors at the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently that's going to fix the problem. Ro Khanna, a California congressman, renewing calls for Senator Dianne Feinstein to resign. Progressive Ro Khanna telling MSNBC he believes Feinstein's ongoing health concerns make her unfit to hold her seat in the Senate. Khanna was the first member to call for Feinstein's resignation during her nearly 3-month absence from Capitol Hill due to a bout with shingles. His remarks follow a New York Times report revealing more medical issues associated with Feinstein's shingles recovery. Khanna praised the 89-year-old's political career and said he hopes that she makes this decision for her own dignity.
I couldn't agree more. Dianne Feinstein has no place on Capitol Hill, and she should be out. And I'm so sick of this. And let's just cut the crap. We've detailed it for you. She is diminished to be polite, and she is someone who no longer can serve honorably in the Senate. And you know, it's all there.
It's all there, black and white,
it
clear
is.
as
It really
crystal.
is. And I don't mean to be unkind because I have mad respect for her, especially as a woman in a man's world, that patriarchy that is American government. So I'm quite sympathetic to her on that level. But she has ruined her legacy, in my view, and ruined it. I mean, it's outrageous. And you know, you can say, well, you know, she's got her staff and no, you need her vote. And she's missed 90 votes. Okay. So don't tell me about, well, we know, you know, her vote. We know what it is. Dianne Feinstein, you've missed so many votes. You have, in a sense, undermined your legacy. You've undermined your political agenda. And the fact that you've shown up and you've, pushed through a couple of justice confirmations now, I don't think that makes up for the kind of water that you have taken on as a result of this. It's all ego and it's disgusting. It's a power play too on the part of her staff. It's awful. So I'm with Ro Khanna.
Vice President Kamala Harris will be visiting Los Angeles today. Among her stops, a mental health nonprofit where she is expected to promote the Biden administration's efforts to support mental health. Harris has a home in Brentwood, and so she's expected to spend a little time there, though it's unclear how long she'll be staying in the Los Angeles area today. Thank you, Stephen. Look at that. Nice. Stephen Ironmonger.
Super sticker she's talking about. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
The John Wick series has surpassed $1 billion at the box office now. $1 billion for the John Wick series. Wow.
I saw the trailer for I think for the new Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise. I believe it was and someone made the point that it's a lot like John Wick. I mean, it's harder and harder to find the difference between John Wick and the MI series, I don't know.
Mission Impossible historically hasn't been like just a cavalcade of killing,
No, that's true. John Wick's a little more kill centric. That's absolutely true. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
But ticket sales for the Lionsgate action series starring Keanu Reeves reached the milestone for all 4 movies. John Wick Chapter 4 is now the highest grossing of them, with $425 million to date since it opened in March. It made more than $73 million at the box office at opening, and that is a new domestic franchise record.
Wow.
In Chicago, lastly, I will say that there's a group of Satan worshipers suing the city. They say they've been banned from saying "Hail Satan" at city council meetings.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy.
Wow. Well, this is the Dark Lord. To be fair, they do have their own Lord.
Well, I mean, maybe if you're gonna say, I don't know, God bless you, you gotta. If you open it to one, you gotta open it to all, right?
I see. Oh yeah, that's good.
God bless America.
All right.
The end.
Yeah, the dark God or the light God? I don't know.
Whatever the Satan thing is going on, they've been banned from saying their "Hail Satan" chant at city council meetings.
Wow.
No.
Wow. Jeez.
A lawsuit claims the city violated their First Amendment rights as a religious group by excluding disfavored minority faiths from giving an invocation at the start of meetings. Apparently, the city board of Chicago doesn't necessarily want Satan to open the meeting.
Invocation, I will ding. Yeah.
And now the invocation from Satan.
Wow.
Oh,
I don't know.
Goodness.
I mean, that's there's a. Ah, yes. If you put a chant, you put a Gregorian chant behind any kind of invocation, it sounds. Yeah. And now the Satanists, please. Yes. The truth about the Satanists, of course, is that they're not really Satanists per se. I don't think. Like, they don't worship Satan. I think it's a way to point up the problems with starting some kind of religious prayer at the beginning of all these meetings. That's their real issue. So it's a strike against religiosity. And a vote for secularism in public spaces, in public administrative forums. That's really what they're doing. So they call themselves Satanists because that gets more publicity.
And they made me say "Hail Satan" several times today.
Yes, I loved
there
it.
There it is.
I loved it.
You know what? You know what's really cool at Tenuta Vineyards? They have a new website. It is tenutawinery.com. TENUTA winery.com, tenutawinery.com. You can sign up to receive their newsletter so that you can be informed about what is going on over Memorial Day weekend,
Oh, that's
Mother's
cool.
Day. They even have an I Love Lucy grape stomp in the fall. So you want to have the newsletter so you don't miss that. That's going to be really fun. The tasting room is open by appointment only, but once you get there, so much fun. And the winery, by the way, sits on 25 acres.
Yeah, it does.
Is surrounded by 18 acres of vineyards, and it really looks like Tuscany. I mean, so pretty out there.
Beautiful Livermore Valley. Yeah.
That's right. They've got 6 acres of Chardonnay. They've got 5 acres of Pinot Noir. They've got 1.5 acres of Pinot Grigio and Primitivo.
Wow.
They've got 1 acre of Barbera, Tempranillo, Sangiovese, and Grenache.
Wow.
And it's just
Look at you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really
very
nice.
Impressive with the.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah, I guess a sort of a rundown of the. Could you name the wines again? I kind of found it oddly exciting to hear them all.
Oh well, you know I'm a Sonoma.
You
County
really
wine
punched
country
Grenache
girl.
if you could. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah.
So they've got 6 acres of Chardonnay.
Yes.
They've got 5 acres of Pinot Noir.
Mm-hmm.
They have 1.5 acres of Pinot Grigio and Primitivo.
I love it.
And they have 1 acre of Barbera, Tempranillo, Sangiovese, and Grenache.
Oh, well, look at you.
I'm ready for a new adventure.
Well, this is it. I think the Tenuta Winery might be your new adventure. TenutaWinery.com, TENUTA winery.com. And if you mention Smash It With Your Iron Rod, you get 10% off.
I was going to say, I might go ask them for a job in the tasting room. You think they'd let me work for a few days out there?
Oh, they'd love to have you there. Are you kidding? That'd be great. You would really.
How are you?
You would bring all the boys to the yard.
Kim, how are you?
I might drink as much as I sell. That's the problem. See, I don't know.
you'd forget about the rod of equity and mercy. I promise you that. You'd be.
Who needs it? 699-4576. That's the phone number out at Tenuta. And again, their brand new website, tenutawinery.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now, he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Thompson. The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson?
I stand corrected. I misspoke. My words upset so many people. My bad. I'm sorry.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas. Joe Fish, Sal the Shoemaker, Joe Box, and Little Anthony.
What he's got going here is a situation. There's a reason that this place is fun.
Someone did this to spoil our Christmas. I have never heard of something like that.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Nobody has ever put something like this together that I've ever seen.
We've never seen anything like it before.
I have a busy week.
I think I'm the most honest human being, perhaps, that God ever created.
God bless America. The end.
Girl, you just rude.
Do I hit it long? Is Trump strong? Huh?
Who is having that conversation?
How would you handle this? We could try ignoring it, sir.
The science is ridiculous.
It's fantastic.
This is a word from the Lord, and he's not happy. Where are my weed smokers at? Isn't anybody been a weed?
It was wrong, it was stupid, and I'm trying to be a better person.
Seriously, what the
Yeah, seriously, what up, everybody? Great to have you here at Mark Thompson Show. I'm Mark here with Kim, and I will tell you that really excited today that so many people have jumped on board the train of Kim. There you go. Thank you. I am excited that so many people have jumped on board the train of support. We're crowdfunded, and I just got another email. Even those who are already supporters stepped up their support in some instances. Candace just jumped on her Patreon and added $5 a month to her existing pledge. So I mean, every little bit counts. So I appreciate it very, very much. All of you who've gone to the markthompsonshow.com and clicked through to Patreon or PayPal. Now, on Fridays we do it. We look at the Sunshine State and the bizarre happenings there. It's a segment we call Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Well, it's happened. Cops are searching for a woman who allegedly stole $600,000 worth of jewelry from a man she met at a Miami club.
What?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Miami cops say that the incident happened after a man brought a woman back to his building on the 800 block of Northeast 1st Street. You know where that is. It's near the Whole Foods on one corner, Publix on the other corner. Look at her there in the elevator. You can see she is...
No, you can see her boobs is what you can see.
Well, I didn't want to say that, but...
He brought home Boobs McGee and got ripped off.
Well, I just think
it's all there, black and white, clear as crystal.
It is all there, black and white, clear as crystal. It's true. Yeah. Items taken include a Rolex Daytona rainbow watch inlaid with diamonds. Man, that's pretty strong. A Sky Dweller Rolex watch. That's a different Rolex watch. A gold chain, Franco gold bracelets, Cartier sunglasses, and a rose gold diamond ring. Man, you really...
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
It's a Rolex Daytona, inlaid with diamonds, a Sky Dweller Rolex, a gold chain, Franco gold bracelets, Cartier sunglasses, and a rose gold diamond ring. Wow. Security camera video captured the two entering the building. There she is. Sometime before
she look about her too, doesn't she?
She does look as though she's up to no good. But it's going to be a lot of fun before she is up to no good.
You can buy a Movado watch in Sam's.
Well, I don't think the Movado watch is going to quite make up for it. They entered the building sometime before the woman left unaccompanied. She's 5'8" to 5'10", mid-30s, about 140 pounds, with long black hair and wearing a lot of jewelry.
Good day, sir.
That's it. Cops are still on the lookout for her. A couple also arrested in Florida after St. Petersburg police find stolen tortoises and rare books. Joshua McCarty Thomas also facing charges in connection to the theft of rare books at Haslam's Bookstore and Lighthouse Books. The two endangered Galapagos tortoises and rare books went missing from locations across Florida. The couple then arrested after cops determined that they sold some of these items on eBay and kept other valuables, including the rare reptiles, at a St. Petersburg, Florida home.
This is a picture of one of the forensic people carrying out the body of a Galapagos turtle.
It's so sad.
Really sad.
They discovered one of the missing tortoises dead in his freezer and the other alive in the yard. Deshae McCarty Thomas, 29, arrested as a co-defendant in the case, according to the criminal report. Deshae McCarty Thomas is employed by what major Florida institution? If you guessed the Florida Department of Corrections.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's What? Yeah. This is a corrections officer. Deshae McCarty Thomas, a correctional officer at the Florida Department of Corrections. The Galapagos tortoises were microchipped, and Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission officials scanned the chips, confirmed they were the same tortoises that had been stolen from the Alligator Farm Zoological Park in St. Augustine, Florida. Each tortoise is worth about $10,000. That's why they stole them. They're rare reptiles, and they require special diets and supplements, and it's no wonder that one of them died in all of this. Really, really sad. In addition to, I think they should just lock these people up and throw away the key, of course. But a Florida driver stops, though, for a turtle on the highway. And because of the stop, a crazy crash happened. Yeah, the Walton County Sheriff's Office in the Florida Panhandle shared videos of this crazy crash. A semi traveling on the highway brakes when 6 cars ahead began stopping or slowing down for this thing. They didn't know what it was, the driver of the truck, and it was a turtle. A car in the left lane moves ahead of the semi to avoid hitting the back of another car. The semi hits the side of that car, then swerves. Here it is.
So the turtle highlighted there. So that truck driver, what he should or she should have done was, if they wanted to help the turtle, move out of the roadway. Never stop and place your vehicle in any type of travel lane like that. And then maybe throw that.
Yeah. So that's the morning show that was featuring that. Turtle not harmed. That's right. Now living happily ever after in a pond until a corrections officer steals it. A turtle crossing the road, 13-year-old not crossing the road, but actually encountering a shark, fights off the shark while being attacked. I know.
What?
It was at a Florida beach. Ella Reed sitting in shallow water with her friend near a jetty at Fort Pierce Beach. She suddenly felt a sharp pain on her side.
Ow.
The shark itself was so powerful, she said, that what I felt the most, because it was hitting my stomach, really was a sharp pain. She says that she punched the shark as it approached her, but shortly after the shark swam away, it ended up swimming right back at her. It wouldn't leave me alone, she said. I had to use my arm and use my hand too. So it got my arm and my finger. After being approached once again by the shark, Reed immediately called for her mom and brother. Reed's mother said that she was in shock after seeing the shark swimming around her daughter. According to the mother, quote, "It was insane because my daughter was totally covered in blood pretty much from head to toe. So she couldn't really see what was going on."
That's some of the shark bites.
Reed said she got 19 stitches after being bitten in the stomach, arm, finger, and top of her knee. I was kind of in shock about everything, she says. So I wasn't really in pain because the adrenaline was through the roof, she said. It was clear water, so you never really know what's going to happen, she says. She believes she was bitten by a bull shark about 5 to 6 feet long. She's home, recovering.
She said it kept coming back at her over and over.
Once it gets the blood in the water, then it's, it's just doing its thing.
I mean,
very rare to have sharks. There she is.
13 years old to have the, ability to fight it off and punch it. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty brutal. I'm glad she made it.
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
Okay. I'm glad you can joke about it now, but I'm saying it was pretty brutal at the time.
Yeah. Ouch.
A naked man attacks people. Love the naked. Yeah, it's always a Florida staple. Naked man attacks people at a Miami gym. Wow. There is video of a naked man assaulting his workout peers at a gym. This happened in Miami, Midtown Miami. Staff members at the UFC gym in Midtown said the man was taking a boxing class. No one was hip to the fact that he was naked, and maybe that was maybe not such a good sign. I don't know. The boxing coach said he was a little off. This is a quote. He wasn't hitting the bag as usual. The member walked his way downstairs, and he was acting in a very bizarre manner. Gym staff quickly tried to control the man, but he kept fighting back.
This is a man with anger. This is a man that has resentment towards you.
He was just becoming dangerous, they say. So at that point, the quote continues, the coaches just picked him up and took him out. I hope he gets the mental help he needs to overcome this with whatever he is going through. Yeah.
I have a video, but I don't know if it has sound or not.
Violent in Miami.
Here it is. This is it.
Is caught on camera.
Gym chaos.
People at a gym. At one point, he's kicked out and eventually tased by police.
You can see that wild incident was caught on camera. Let's get right out to Christian Cologne live.
Sayonara, sucker.
Where this incident all went down. Christian.
Yeah, calm situation.
Christian, could you find the noisiest part of the gym, please, to do your report?
Police say this man gets naked. He starts pushing people around. Luckily, no one was severely injured.
Well, all right. Well,
I've told you it's never easy being in this business.
No,
it wasn't. A man was caught on video naked and allegedly assaulting his workout peers.
The boxing coach said that he was a little off. He wasn't hitting the bag as usual. And the member walked his way downstairs. And he was just acting very bizarre.
So bizarre, he starts attacking people. Gym staff quickly try to control him, but he kept fighting back.
He was just becoming dangerous. So at that point, the coaches just picked him up and took him out. But I just hope he gets the mental help, the treatment he needs.
Yeah.
Can you let him finish, sir?
No, we didn't want to have him finish. Okay, can we?
Out of the gym, the man continued around Midtown, punching random people, including this older man in a wheelchair. Eventually, police pulled up.
They gave him many commands to stop and comply, in which he completely disregarded, at which point in time our officer was forced to discharge his taser, at which point they were able to then place him into custody.
All right.
Yeah, are we done?
That's about it. That's it. Yeah. I don't need to see the tase. Very tough spot there in Florida. It's amazing that they They do seem to let the guy go with the nudity and everything without calling the cops until he starts beating on people as he goes down the street.
And then we got a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. This concludes that nudity, this version or this iteration or this chapter or this installment of Friday Fabulous Florida. My question that I'm ramping up to in a circuitous way, and circuitous would be a ding word, is we don't like to do it, but we must. We are duty bound. It's like choosing between children, but we must choose a favorite. Tony had to go do the something with the Angels, Los Angeles Angels he works with. So it's just you and myself, Kim, and the people in the chat. So you can already say, Billy says, naked guy for the win. There was a question as to what part of him they tased. This is a decent question. We follow up. Tase his ass, says M. Oak. Yeah. Mark, maybe he went to the gym for, to make his own little iron rod. Okay. I hope he gets the clothes he needs, says Joanne. Where did they tase him? A lot of people asking that question. Now to you, Kim. Let me remind you before you weigh in. These are the stories you heard. Women goes to a dude's place, steals $600,000 in jewelry, 3 Rolexes, a gold chain, and more. A couple arrested in St. Petersburg. Stolen tortoises, rare books. 1 tortoise died and all of that. The guy works for the Florida Corrections Department. The turtle crossing the road in Florida, causing a chain reaction. The tortoise was unharmed. The 13-year-old who survived the shark attack, it kept coming back for her, and she fought it off. And finally, the naked man assaulting fellow gym members during boxing class. I know it's hard. You must pick a favorite, Kim. I ask you.
I'm going for the naked boxer. It's odd for me because usually I'll pick a reptile.
Yes. Yes,
and
you had 2
naked boxer,
reptile choices this time.
Yeah.
Women stealing the $600,000 in jewelry. We've got the photos of her. She is a
rather buxom.
Yeah, she looks like a lovely young lass. I hate it when they turn on you like that. But I'm also going to go for the naked man. I believe that is you have to, right. And with that, that's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
The 13-year-old girl, I think, actually interesting. Colors of the Wind says that you would have voted for a 13-year-old girl. You do vote for Colors of the Wind's a 13-year-old girl. I agree. There's something shark attack, and that's a good story. That might be the runner-up. So I will give you that, Colors of the Wind. And Gail Guthrie, thank you for $49.99 super sticker. That's a big old thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Wow, Gail, that's so cool. Thank you. We need it. We thank you. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Much to do, as we oftentimes do on Friday, because it's such a supersized show. We are going to bypass Kim's news top of the hour. We're going to supersize Kim's news bottom of the hour. We still think that because of the substantial contributions today, we are close to Kim being eligible to receive the rod of equity and mercy. Hasn't been decided yet, but it is looking more and more likely. Definitely will supersize your news bottom of the hour. And also in the next hour, later this hour, is Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster. He's going to review Fast X, Master Gardener, Sanctuary. And we'll ask him about all of those productions that are in theaters and who knows what else. Smash it like
Smashed it with
like
your
a boss.
iron rod.
Wow. What is this, Wes? Wes says, my husband was a Florida story you covered at Station X, drunk on a Segway, but he has mental illness too. Yeah, I remember this now. You had emailed me that your husband was featured in a Florida story, and That's why I didn't use his last name. I remember that story.
Yeah.
So I hope he got and continues to get the help he needs. But I want to thank you. For the
Thank you.
The contribution is huge. Yeah, it really is. Thank you so much. Big shout out. Yeah. All right. We have much to do. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you for being here as we get into a major segment.
The Mark Thompson Show.
These two guys are so special, generous to join us on Fridays. This guy's forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. He's the great Michael Shore, everyone. And this other guy is the former senior correspondent at ABC News, the White House correspondent for years. He's the great Jim Avila, everyone. Good morning, gentlemen, to you both.
Good morning.
I talk about this segment today as significant, and I'll start with this thing that we kind of have spoken of before, and yet you've both encouraged all of us to say, hey, look, there's a bit of theater to this. They're going to reach some kind of agreement, and I'm talking about raising the debt ceiling. They've now, quote, hit the pause button on their negotiations that just happened a few hours ago. With both sides as dug in as they are, and I mentioned that Biden is criticized from the left for capitulating, in a sense, just in negotiating with these hostage takers, as it's put it, on the right, as it's put. I'm wondering if you've revised your position. Do you think that the nation is literally in some kind of jeopardy when it comes to a possible default, or do you both sort of maintain what you've maintained all along? I'll start with you, Michael Shore, please.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be the one who makes for bad broadcasting, but yeah, I think things remain the same. I think this is the exact kind of dance that happens before every debt ceiling negotiation and resolution. And even if it isn't resolved on the timeline that people want to resolve, it always does get resolved, and it's who blinks first. And certainly the White House doesn't have a problem blinking to its own caucus in the Capitol. They feel like the Senate is going to back them, but they do have to do some dancing with the majority in the House. But again, the Republicans in the Senate are telling the House to give them something that can pass the Senate as well. But in the end, I think this is going to be, as it always is, much ado about nothing.
Jim?
I really think that it remains the same, other than the theater. I think that the problem is that even the far right should realize that as soon as those Social Security checks don't come, which is supposed to be one of the first things that gets stopped on June 1st, that's their voters, or that is their potential. Those are for their potential voters. And I don't think that they're going to stop those. I don't think they're going to stop payments to the military. Despite all of this stuff, they're not going to do that. They're going to reach some kind of accommodation, which probably looks like we pass the debt ceiling and then we negotiate on the budget, which will allow them to say they got some cuts. But as we all know, there's no place to cut unless you're going to cut the military. And again, that puts them in a hole. Are you going to cut? They're talking about making work requirements for some things like food stamps or Medicaid. That it's possible they'll get some nod on that front, but that's going to really set off the left, the progressives, and who Biden needs, and is really unfair. The way to do this is what Biden wants to do, and the Republicans won't hear of it, is raise taxes on the wealthy. And then you can do all of this, and you don't even have to cut your sacrosanct military budget, which should be cut.
You couldn't raise taxes, though, Jim Avila, without Congress, could you?
No, and they need Congress, and they need that to happen, and that's why it's in the budget. Now, the budget, of course, that the administration puts out is a wish list. It never is the same when it's finally voted on. And are they going to get a tax hike in this round? No, not until the Republicans continue to do what they're doing, which is step on themselves wanted to use a different phrase, but step on themselves in every policy issue there is, from guns to abortion. They're going to lose. And this time around, we're not good. But after the next election, there's a good possibility that the Democrats will control both houses.
Yeah. And one thing to what Jim was just saying too, Mark, is that a dynamic that's in play here that isn't always in play, if we're trying to make this a little different than other debt ceiling negotiations, is that the far right doesn't love their speaker. And they have a loud voice, a louder voice than what is considered to be the far left in the Democratic caucus and how they may have interacted with Nancy Pelosi and now Hakeem Jeffries. So these are people that don't mind spiting a speaker. These are people that don't mind voting against their own interests because they are so eminently electable in their own districts that they could make trouble for McCarthy here by not acquiescing to the things that he wants in negotiating with the White House. I see that happening. I see that being more likely to happen than on the Democratic side.
Acquiescing is a dingler. Then the politics of this, while complicated a bit by being dug in, it's a negotiation to yes. It's a weird thing that I'm thinking of the last administration when they didn't get the money. Trump didn't get the money for his wall. He just took the money for his wall. It was a weird thing. I always felt like that was a campaign thing. We'll build the wall and Mexico will pay for it, whatever. Build that wall, build that. And I thought, well, when he gets into office, if he gets into office, they're not going to appropriate money for this wall. Then they didn't appropriate it, but he just took it. Go ahead.
He called it. If I may be wrong about this, but I remember I'm somewhat right in remembering that it was a national emergency that he called it, that there was a national emergency and a president then has power in a national emergency and calling this national defense and having people agree with that to some degree and not wanting to vote against national defense. There was a whiff of that went into Trump doing that.
He took the military budget. He took the money from the military budget.
Exactly.
And he didn't need congressional approval because the money was already there. But he couldn't take a lot, and he built, what did he build? 28 miles of wall?
Yeah.
That's 28 more miles than he should have built. And it was also just a gift to donors. You had people, as you know, contractors building that wall who had nothing to do with walls. They never built a wall before in their company's business life, but they got it.
Miles, he's responsible for open borders.
Okay. So I guess that was my ramp up to sort of look back at that administration in recent history and say what some are saying in the chat and beyond, which is, why doesn't Biden just absolutely do, what so many have suggested, which is pursue this 14th Amendment thing and not negotiate at all with this extreme right-wing GOP?
Well, I think he needs to negotiate, Mark, and that's what he's doing. And I think he's negotiating the budget, not the debt ceiling. The debt ceiling is going to be passed separately. Then they'll negotiate the budget. But he has that in his back pocket, and he's using that as leverage. And that's, it may be a last resort to do, because if the right wing, the MAGAs, continue to, if they spoil it and they fire McCarthy and nothing has passed, then I think the country would understand why the president would step in and use the 14th Amendment. You have to have popular support for this to happen. And what he's going to have to do is wait till it collapses and then do it. I don't think he can do it now. And then he has to hope that the courts uphold it.
This is a tale of two presidents, too, or 45 presidents. I mean, each one has its own DNA. And whereas Donald Trump would just go to the military budget and build a wall, Ronald Reagan, as a governor, may have done something like that. Joe Biden is a creature of negotiation. His whole career has been based on that. And he is going to go negotiate first. He has to. He feels compelled to. He doesn't want to be that kind of a president. And so going to the 14th Amendment right away is not in his DNA at all.
The situation with Ron DeSantis, who's now, he's now running for president, of course, and he seems to be pursuing these culture wars in Florida, in his home state, in a way that has massive economic repercussions for the state, but also there are tremendous societal repercussions when it comes to the Don't Say Gay bill. I was talking about in the first hour. You've got teachers being removed from classrooms. You have books being banned. It's pretty bizarre that he, with all this red meat to that red base in Florida, is full speed ahead when he is trying to build some kind of mass appeal. Or maybe you can set me straight. He's just trying to beat out Donald Trump and then he'll worry about the mass appeal later. What's going on, Michael?
It's somebody who is posturing to run for president who needs to be identified with one thing. It may be smart as a Republican to go all in on woke or anti-woke, and that's what DeSantis probably sees his path as being. People have fallen prey to that in the past before. I mean, Scott Walker in Wisconsin ran for president. The pugilistic moderate in Chris Christie out of New Jersey, who thought that his brashness is something that we didn't get from politics from George Bush or from Barack Obama, and he could step in and do that while being substantive and not being Donald Trump. So they look for these roads to the White House, as it were, and Mike Pence is doing it from the Christian side when he declares his candidacy, and they think that that's where they get their first acre, and then they can build from there. Well, Florida is the focal point of everything. DeSantis has been talked about as the anti-Trump for a long time in terms of being a candidate and being an option, but the numbers haven't proven that yet. And you often say, well, it's too early for numbers. I often say it too, but he does have name recognition that is not the kind of name recognition that most candidates have, because he's put himself in the news so much, and Trump has as well. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of traction. But he's betting on that in the extreme. Will get voters in other states and early primary states to know that he's the guy that's going against woke. And I was just in Des Moines for a Cancel Trump rally this past weekend, and all of these people out there, all they're talking about is woke. They're talking about woke all the time. So DeSantis is onto something. I just don't know that they're buying what he's selling.
Yeah, the problem with DeSantis is that he's pushing so far to the right. It's going to be very difficult for him to get back to the middle if he actually won the primaries in the Republican primaries, because his positions are very unpopular in the entire nation. They may be popular among MAGA, but MAGA is not enough to elect you, and so I think he has that issue. Will he win the Republican primary? Only if Donald Trump gets indicted federally and in Atlanta, and things pile up so much that the Republicans have to turn away from it. Otherwise, Donald Trump is the Republicans' problem, and they can't get rid of it because he forces everybody to the right and to get those MAGA voters. And when they do that, not only will he never win re-election, the Republicans won't win re-election because he's being pushed so far. How is an Asa Hutchinson, a moderate, going to do anything? He's not going to win. He's not. And Chris Christie's not going to win.
No.
They're not going to win the primary. So those are the only people. Kasich found this out. John Kasich found this out in the last election. He was moderate. He was reasonable. He was a Republican independents could vote for. And he got squashed and isn't even in governor anymore, and isn't even barely in the Republican Party. So, Trump is their problem. They're not getting around that. And as long as he's a force and forces everybody to the right, the Republicans will not win another presidential election.
And not only that, I mean, they're so far to the right that John Kasich was a moderate. John Kasich is not a moderate, right? So they're letting people who are not moderates seem like moderates because they're going so far to the right. One problem also with the presumption that if Trump is indicted and he's not the candidate and he's not running and he's prevented somehow from running or decides not to run, is that all of his voters are just going to somehow go. I think a lot of them are going to sit it out. I don't think that anybody is enough to get a lot of these people to the polls. You hear that, or I hear that when I was, this weekend in Des Moines. One of the viewers just now said they can't even define woke. I asked them what is woke, and the viewer's right. They don't have an adequate description of what it is. They say, you know it when you know it, is what one of them told me. Well, a lot of those people are not just going to come out and vote for somebody else. I think a lot of them are there for the show.
Michael, I do have one question about Iowa. Was it raining or not?
For the cancellation?
Yeah, because Trump canceled it because of the weather. But most people thought that he canceled it because nobody was showing up.
Well, I think that I was one of those. Usually you get to these rallies quite early and there are lines and lines of people. And the early showing was not great there in Des Moines. But there were some small tornadoes that touched down about an hour and a half outside of Des Moines. There was a tornado warning, I will say that. And my guess is that
warning or watch?
It was a warning. It was a tornado.
Well, which means the tornado was down on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's Mark, the weatherman knows. That's more serious.
Exactly.
But it was lovely. So
there's never been anything like this.
Yeah, that's great. So 2 points. First of all, pugilistic is a dang word. Secondly, I wanted to ask you about name recognition. You'd mentioned it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You're so right that Desantis has broken into now real name recognition territory. And then you guys have both pretty well dissected his issues, in going too far to the right. Let me ask you about the Democrats. RFK Jr., I think one of the reasons he polls so well is because of his name recognition. Now, I'm not suggesting that he can break through, but I will ask you, in some threshold, he's being ignored by the Democrats, largely, I think, as a result of his positions on vaccines. But I'm wondering if you feel as though his entrance into the race is in any way relevant on the Democratic side, given the fact that Biden doesn't poll so great. I mean, you've got in Trump and Biden, the two leaders of their respective parties in these early days as we take polls. You got two guys who aren't polling particularly well. There's not a lot of voter enthusiasm around them. Jim, talk to me about JFK just for a second, if you will, and then maybe you want to remark on the two guys who are leading.
Talk about JFK.
Yeah, well, JFK was a great president. Unfortunately, his...
Well, I heard RFK, you say that, but let me tell you something. I heard RFK say something in an interview because he talks about his uncle, JFK, as anti-war, and that was his sort of North Star, anti-war. I'm thinking anti-war. I mean, JFK ramped up the Vietnam escalation, I think. Obviously, Johnson made it look like a Tea Party in that escalation, but that's conversation for another time. But it's funny how history can be revisionist.
Yeah.
Yes, RFK is the one I was talking about.
RFK's problem, Junior, is that he is a conspiracy theorist. And yes, vaccines, but he also gets into this business of, Gates is running the world and, those type of things that will not hold up. Can he be a problem? Yeah, if the margin is narrow, most of his, I would think, maybe not. He's going to get voters from both sides, and he'll get nuts from the right wing who are going to go to him because of the vaccine issue. And because of his name, he's going to get some Democrats to mistakenly think that he is the image of his father and his uncle, which he's not. And I've spoken to this man repeatedly, and in the days when he was not crazy, but he has gone off the cliff with the anti-vax movement, with other QAnon-type movements that really disqualify him from any independent, reasonable, that he would win in any way.
Jim, let me just quick follow-up before we hear from Michael. I want to ask you about whether ABC was right to excise the part of their interview with RFK Jr. about vaccines.
No, I didn't know about that. I don't know about it, but no, they would not be right, in my opinion, just hearing what you're saying. Okay. They have in the past, my former employer, has in the past done things that I didn't agree with, including during the 2016 election, Donald Trump, in questioning from Jonathan Karl, stood up and tried to leave the interview, and the vice president of ABC was there and went and begged Trump to come back and told him that they would excise that part of the interview, and they did, and there was a huge protest within ABC. So it's not the first time.
Unprecedented.
And,
okay.
I would be against that.
Go ahead, Michael.
I mean, the only thing I would add, I've also interviewed Kennedy, and he's obviously a compelling guy, but I don't think that anything he says is mainstream enough for Democrats anyway. I do think that there are people that wish Joe Biden weren't running in the Democratic Party, heaps of them. And I think that, including someone here. And I think that when you pose Kennedy or Biden, there are some people that are going to say Kennedy now just to weaken Biden and to say that there's room for another candidate. That candidate, should Biden not be the nominee, is not going to be RFK Jr.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something really controversial here. And please understand where I'm coming from. If Joe Biden is going to get sick or die, it should happen now. Because if it happens right before the election, that is going to be a tragic situation. And while his, I've been watching him, he does look vigorous. He's riding the bike, all those things. But in my mind, there's concern that he will not last 4 years. And we really ought to have a better choice right now. We're not going to get it. His policies are good. He's popular among mainstream the organization, the Democratic organization. But I worry that and if he gets sick right before the election, that's a bad thing.
Sure. No, and it's not completely. It's not a dark fantasy. It very well could happen.
It could happen. I would distance myself from what Jim said. I mean, it should happen now. But I think that things happen were that to happen that would also not just make everything, the world wouldn't just fall into Trump's lap if he were the Republican nominee and that happened. I think there would be a lot of people that would be relieved not to have to vote for Joe Biden too. So,
yeah, interesting. Ann says the world cannot tolerate Kamala Harris as president ever. I mean, I don't know about that, but I do think that there's not a lot of enthusiasm around Kamala Harris. I
just don't understand that. I mean, I don't understand what the hatred is of Kamala Harris.
Yeah, right.
What has she done to make you hate her that much? Now, has she done enough to become president? She's vice president, and that doesn't usually work. You can't put yourself out there as much. So, but I'm, I hope it's not based in racism and feminism that she's a woman, that the reason why this has happened. But unfortunately, I kind of think it is.
Well, I think that for some it is. I think, she ran as a Democrat in a primary and did terribly. I mean, she went, and not because she was a woman and because she was black, by the same electorate that nominated a woman 4 years earlier. So I just think she was not viewed as someone who at that time was ready to be president. I think when you're vice president, you're around the presidency, obviously you're more qualified than you were before. And I think everybody's view of a vice president who remains largely in the shadows as the job requires is only what their last iteration was. And there are people in California, by the way, Jim, who didn't like her for reasons having nothing to do with the presidency. So there's some historical, as anybody in politics, there's a lot of love for her. She won hands down for the Senate, but she has her detractors in California.
Yeah, I mean, attorneys general and DAs also have, their built-in negatives there. They have some built-in challenges, but
Biden will not to run for some reason. I still think that reason could still exist. I mean, I still think that possibility exists. I don't think she's the front runner even. I think a lot of other people will run, and it wouldn't be a conversation about Kamala Harris. I think it becomes that, obviously, the longer it goes. I think
this is to Jim's point. Wouldn't you say, Michael, that the Democratic machine has tamped down a bit of what you're talking about, which is that other viable candidates are there in the shadows or in the wings, but they're letting Biden remain center stage.
I don't think it's the machine. I think it's the candidates themselves. I mean, it's protocol, and he is a sitting president. Right. It doesn't help Gavin Newsom to challenge. I mean, it might, but historically, challenging a sitting president from your own party doesn't work out very well for the challenger in their future.
Well, what Mark and I are saying, though, Michael, is that when he has 30% support among Democrats right now, the reason why he remains is because what you're saying, tradition, and also because he has the Democratic organization. It's not the people who are supporting Joe Biden. It's the organization that is supporting him. People like Donna Brazil, who is who are inside Democrats, but that's what's keeping him alive and afloat. And and I don't mean to be cold. I like the guy. I mean, if he was 10 years younger, it wouldn't be a problem. But he's going to be so old when it went through the thing that I wish he would. He's going to be Dianne Feinstein. That's going to be a problem if his health goes
if he
like
becomes
that.
Dianne Feinstein, it's a huge problem, and I don't disagree. And I guess when Mark said machine,
I meant the institutions of the Democratic Party.
The Democratic Party, for sure. The leadership, the structure, all of that, and I definitely agree that's.
There's Kim.
Yeah. Kim, you have anything before I excuse the witnesses?
Yeah, I have a question. I want to know what you guys think about the possibility of increasing the number of seats on the Supreme Court.
I think it would be dead in the water. I don't think there's support for that.
Well, it's not viable, but yeah,
I don't think Joe Biden is the type of president who would do that, Kim.
Joe Biden's like you, Kim. He's going to just live with it's tough break. We just have to live with it.
It's also setting him up for the question, Kim. It's setting him up for the question, Kim. It's making it so that when he is not doing a debate, when he's questioned about it, whenever that would be, and he says, no, I'm not for it, then it gives progressives pause and Democrats pause and independents to a degree. But I don't see it. I don't see it as viable. Changing the rules is not in the DNA of the Democratic Party like it is in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
If FDR could not do it,
today's
Joe Biden cannot do it.
That's a great point.
It's not, sadly, it's not practical from a political standpoint, but it should be done. It's an outrage what's happening at the court.
You should go back and watch Jim's interviews with FDR. They were fantastic.
Wow. A body check to the glass on his way out. The great Michael Shore and Jim Avila. Boys, thank you. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Love it, love it, love it. Sue, too good, too good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Who's Mark Thompson?
What up, everybody? If you're just joining us, what a show it has been. Go back and check it out. Watch it in delay and slam us with a thumbs up.
Smash it with your iron
Just
rod.
smash it like a boss. Give us that thumbs up. Great contributions from Avila and Shore always. And some great Florida stuff. Thanks to Kim, myself, and Albert, who has just returned from Korea and threw in a couple of stories at the last second. Albert returns on Monday. So we'll get a full debriefing, I think, will follow his return to the show.
Albert, thank you.
And Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, is waiting. We'll keep him in the green room so that we can get to Kim's News. A supersized Kim's News awaits you. Yeah. So Michael Snyder will join, and I will alert all of our stations along the Mark Thompson Network. We will run long today to accommodate both Kim's News and Michael Snyder if he needs the time. Again, thanks for being here. Smash that like button, damn it. Smash it. Smash
it with your iron rod.
Mm-hmm. Mark Thompson Show.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
Yeah, but among them, Kim's News, I think.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Can you hear me?
No, sudden drop out there.
I didn't know
That's
what
my
happened.
fault. That's pilot error. I was sorry.
Operator error?
Yeah, there you go. I apologize. Mhm.
Do you really deserve to draw an equity?
Okay, that was very good. All right, so you could
I'm
hear that
ready.
though, right?
I could
Okay.
hear that. All is
All
well
right, go
in
ahead.
Mark-
Go ahead.
Mark
I'm sorry for
Thompson
the.
land.
Yeah.
Republican negotiators are pressing.
I'm sorry. I did that deliberately. I'm sorry. That was wrong. I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. All right, really.
Very dramatic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Should
All
we
right,
go
go
for
ahead.
it one more time? No? Okay. Republican negotiators are pressing pause on debt ceiling talks. Louisiana Congressman Garrett Graves says the talks are just not productive, and he isn't sure if he'd be meeting in person again over the weekend. The U.S. could potentially default as early as June 1st if Congress doesn't get it together and raise the debt ceiling. The governor of New York says she is looking now at all options to house immigrants. This is Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul saying her state has more than 71,000 asylum seekers and more are arriving. Hochul considering using New York State and New York City college campuses this summer as housing for these immigrants.
So essentially what's happened is, I think from the southern border, they've exported a lot of these people to communities in New York and elsewhere, in Washington, D.C. as well, by the way.
Yeah. The district attorney in Fulton County, Georgia, may be ready to file charges against former President Donald Trump in early August. Fani Willis has been investigating Trump and his allies in connection with efforts to allegedly overturn the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Willis reportedly asked judges not to schedule trials and in-person hearings during the second week in August. So that may be when charges could come, possibly. Can I get a Trump drop about 11,780 votes?
There's never been anything like this.
Or that.
I just want to find 11,780.
I mean, that's all he wants. We're both looking for the same thing. Trump was looking for the 11,780, and I'm looking for 11,000.
Right. I don't think that's unreasonable. Come on.
No, I don't think so.
I only need 11,000.
Yeah. What's the problem?
780.
Okay, I get it. We have 11,000. We have 11,250, I think it is.
Oh, we just need, 500 some odd more.
We need 11,780.
I just want to find 11,780.
I mean, we have so much on this show. We have brilliant contributors. We have the rod of equity and mercy, and yet we don't have yet the 11,780.
Whatever will we do?
It's tough. The 780 is the tough part.
780.
Yeah, all right.
We're going to make it work. We're going to muddle through.
Yeah.
I just want to find 11,000.
No, I got the 11,000. I don't need to find that. I need the 780 part.
780.
Thank you. That's what I need.
Well, maybe we should check in with Trump. He seems to know where to find everything.
You should. Here's the deal. If you, because I know a lot of people are saying, how can we get to that 780?
Right.
If you can share us on Facebook, where you have your friends on Facebook, in between looking at their pictures and, liking their pictures and sharing their grief if something bad in the family happened. I'm wondering if you could just share the show. A lot of people don't know we're here, and ask them to subscribe. They never have to actually listen, but if they could just subscribe, we can get to the 780.
780.
Okay, we're looking.
That would be in no time. If people would share it on Facebook, it would happen boom, like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
smash it on Facebook.
Yeah. Let's get to Jack Teixeira now, because apparently this accused Pentagon leaker will learn today if he has to stay in jail while he awaits trial. The 21-year-old Air National Guardsman was arrested and charged last month with leaking highly classified military documents. Federal prosecutors say he posted the materials, some of them labeled top secret, to an international community on the chat website Discord. Senator Tim Scott is now officially jumping into the 2024 race for president. An official announcement is expected to happen on Monday in South Carolina. Scott launched a presidential exploratory committee in April, and now it looks like he is ready to go for it and make that official come Monday. So that's what's happening with him. Yeah. Elon Musk. He is saying working from home is morally wrong. Hold on, let me just check.
Wow.
Is there any more morality police?
You're working from home. That's right.
There's no.
Well, I'll tell you, as I mentioned the other day, and I'll just mention this again now. Elon Musk, as you look at a picture of him, he runs 3 major companies, as you're aware, right? Those are the ones that we're aware of. You think he serves on many boards and participates in other companies as well. But we know about Twitter, you know about SpaceX, and you know about Tesla. Well, I promise you, he's not at the different buildings or in the workspaces of Tesla, Twitter, and SpaceX every day. How does he function from a work standpoint? He handles his work remotely. Thank you.
Oh, Oh, is that what he does?
Exactly. So I don't get how it can be morally wrong, please.
Oh, okay. Well, he says it is morally wrong. He says that that employees are more productive in person, and he referred to Silicon Valley's tech workers as the laptop classes living in La La Land.
There's never been anything like this.
Oh.
And I'd just like to note, because I noticed it was missing from that story, and
I don't think you should apologize for
how you feel. Right.
That Tim Scott is indeed a Republican. So I just wanted to
Yes, indeed, he is. Yeah.
Brett Favre. Oh, Brett.
Such a distinguished MVP award-winning career.
And
now he's MVP grifter, everybody. That's his great thing. He's grifting at the same championship level that he played football.
Whatever you do, do it well. Right? A former U.S. attorney says Brett Favre was the driving force in a scandal involving Mississippi's misuse of welfare funds. Brad Pigott telling Sports Illustrated the former Packers quarterback demanded grant money repeatedly. The Mississippi Department of Human Services hired Pigott to investigate this $1 million scandal.
You are a cover-up artist and you are a liar.
Yeah, he lied about it. All this money. It's crazy because the one thing he didn't need, it would seem, is money. And yet he architect of a scam to get all of that money and defraud the government.
I guess.
We're talking about a lot of money. It was, how much was it? 20 million? More than that.
Oh, and from welfare recipients, right?
Yeah. God.
From the poorest of the poor. So why would you do that?
I offer this sincere apology to you today.
I think he's going to need that preacher apology. He's going to need the Stephen A. Smith apology.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
No, he'll need the whoopee. He'll need the whoopee. The whoopee does that. I misspoke. My words upset so many people.
My words upset so many people.
Yeah, but this is a real scam. He should do time for this. He really should.
Yeah, I think he probably will.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Highway 37. This congested North Bay Highway has officials approving a new toll on a 10-mile stretch between Vallejo and Sonoma County. It'll run in both directions, cost you $4. A carpool lane will also be added. Officials with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission say it will save money because time is money. And they hope this will cut the 80 minutes it takes for most to get through the area to about 20 minutes. So you get bypass traffic when you pay $4.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
what
know.
What is the toll on the Golden Gate Bridge? I was just talking about this the other day.
It's almost $10.
Yeah. And when I was there as a young media star, over that bridge every day.
Do you know who I am?
Yes.
I'm kind of a big deal.
It was $2. It was $2. I had to pass over that bridge all the time. No big deal. $2. Now, $10. Yeah, you got to think about it. Anyway, toll roads, this is $4. This right now, it's $4.
$4 between Sonoma County and Vallejo. So, I don't know.
And it'll cut the time, though, by a substantial amount.
It will substantially cut the time. And what they're doing is they need to raise money because they have to completely redo this roadway, as it is very prone to flooding. And as the waters rise with the sea level rise, they are saying the flooding is going to be even worse. Major portions of this roadway have been underwater. Much of it was wiped out this year with major storms. So something has to be done to shore up Highway 37, which is a major artery in the North Bay. And I think this $4 toll is an attempt to raise money to fix the road.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. People I know are getting their backs up about it being a toll road. But I don't know that it is a cash grab. As you say, there may be real improvements at the end of all of that. You need to do something in just the ways that you say.
Although, people say, well, listen, we pay taxes. Why don't you use the money we've already paid you that you've earmarked for roadways to fix this? Why do we have to pay you even more money to do what we already paid you to do in the first place?
Wow. There you go. I love it.
Good day, sir.
Right. Yeah. By the way, on the Brett Favre thing, I just have to go back because this is so, he is a grifter of intense proportion. And there's this. Tommy Godlove says, stop picking on Brett.
Stop picking on Brett.
Too good, Tommy. I had to double back. Thank you for that. Yeah. Really good.
Let's go to San Jose. Why don't we? San Jose, no longer one of the nation's top 10 most populous cities. U.S. Census Bureau, now ranks at 12th after they lost about 12,000 people. The mayor said he's not surprised, pointing to polling that shows residents are frustrated with the high cost of living and the quality of life issues like homelessness, crime, and blight. He thinks the solution is get back to the basics by hiring more police officers and making the city feel safe and clean again. There you go.
Yeah.
And local football fans are cheering the possible return of the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Bay Area. Yeah.
Love it. Come on. Bring that Super Bowl back.
Bay Area expected to find out next week if it is hosting for a third time. The vote will come when the NFL owners gather for a league meeting in Minneapolis. It is reportedly already a done deal, just unofficially. If
Wow.
So,
Oh, my God. I love that. I love those Super Bowl. They're big spenders. They come to town and have their parties.
Yep, they come get a little cracked crab and a little San Francisco feeling and then drive to Santa Clara.
Then they see a little Super Bowl hung over. They go back to wherever they came from.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
If so, it would put Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara not only holding the big game in 2026, but maybe several World Cup soccer matches as well. So Levi's Stadium looks like the place to
Coming
be.
to life. Wow.
That's right. This show is, the Mark Thompson Show is crowdfunded, and that means we rely on you for support. You can find the Patreon and the PayPal links at themarkthompsonshow.com and so much more. I'm Kim McAllister on The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Who's Mark Thompson? Thompson. Who's Mark Thompson? Who's Mark Thompson? Who's Mark Thompson? Who's Mark Thompson? Who's Mark Thompson?
Thank you so much. It has been one of those days. Tony's hit the road. It's just Kim and myself. And before I bring on Michael Snyder, and I think we might run over, so I always worry about losing my Kim to the Nikki show. But never know where her loyalties are, too. You know, she does two shows. I can't really know. I can't look into someone's soul.
Yet to receive the rod of equity and mercy.
Yeah, and that's maybe one of the reasons. Yeah.
Fail a little bit early.
Yeah. Oh, I was just about to give you the rod of equity and mercy. And now.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, what?
How dare you? I cannot believe it. I was just about to get to the fact.
Can you let him finish, sir?
Yes, let me finish.
No.
You've received such widespread support.
No.
Now I'm wondering.
No.
I don't know. Well, it's tough to say because we do have so many processes, protocols here, and they are related to the significant
processes and protocols and standards
receiving of the rod of equity and mercy. But I do feel, and I frankly may be caving to popular demand, but I'll tell you, when I say caving, let me finish.
I don't want a pity rod.
Let me finish.
Can you let him finish, sir?
I just am saying, in the same way I pointed out to you in the first hour, you cannot be too cynical. Charles could have certainly said, I don't know, you guys are just giving me the crown because I'm related to the woman who died. You know, you can't say that. You have to receive, and this is where you have to be a little more open, Kim. I don't know if you have this in you. You have to open your heart. However, the fates have favored you with the rod of equity and mercy, you have to receive it. And then do with it the most positive things you can do. And so with that preamble, Kim, you need to do nothing. All you need to do is receive it.
Receive the rod of equity and mercy.
I bestow it upon you. There you are.
Doesn't come with a crown, though, does it?
You see, already you're questioning. My God. How about it for a guy who follows movies of all sorts? The big comic book movies, the weird subtitle movies, the bizarro dark horror films, the uplifting rom-coms, the TV series that go on season after season. He covers it all. The San Franciscan who writes for the Marina Times, he comes and goes on a rainbow. How about it for the great Michael Snyder, everyone?
Hey,
welcome,
hey.
Michael.
Wait a minute. From here on in, I thought you knew. My name is Iron Rod Equity. I thought you knew that.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Yes.
I know. Well, hey, it's not me, Mario. It is Michael Snyder, and I am broadcasting because Fast X is our lead review. I'm broadcasting from a Bay Area speedway, so if you hear cars rushing past, you know exactly why. Okay.
All right. Okay. Good. I love it. I love it. Yeah.
All right.
Fast X is the big movie.
It is. Batten down the hatches, start your engines, get ready to ride. Fast X is upon us.
Let's rock it, kid. Yeah.
Wait. Is that Fast 10? As in Fast Roman numeral 10? Whatever you call it, it's the 10th movie in the billion-dollar Fast and the Furious franchise. Once the purview of street racing, and now it's all about massive heists, global threats from power-coveting villains, absurd action set pieces, and yes, with all the hunky stars and badass babes, it's ultimately, right? It's all about family. Or as primary star, primary star Vin Diesel might say, in the role of driver supremo and paterfamilias Dom Toretto, family. Yeah, more like family. So how
dare you insult the great Vin Diesel? Go ahead.
How is Fast X, Mark? Well, it's bigger than any previous installment with more outrageous stunts and insane CGI frenzy. There are more stars and returning Fasters and Furiousers and surprise cameos than ever before. I'd say it's everything but the kitchen sink, but even the kitchen sink makes a cameo appearance. I was like, whoa, it's the kitchen sink. And it's directed by Louis Leterrier, who has made, among other really cool movies, The Transporter with Jason Statham, a Fast and Furious mainstay. So how is Fast and Furious X, or whatever you want to call this thing? The story, such as it is a revenge plot as the never-before-seen son of a Brazilian gangster despot from Fast 5, I believe, has years later decided to get back at Dom and the rest of the Toretto family. You know, Dopey, Sneezy, Doc, Grumpy. Anyway, actually, I mean Dom's woman, Letty, played by Michelle Rodriguez, his cute little son, Dom's sister, Mia, played by Jordana Brewster.
Nobody likes her.
Yeah,
the hot
okay.
Becky Ramsey, played by Nathaniel Emmanuel, and the ones played by Tyrese Gibson, Sung Kang, and Chris Ludacris Bridges. Returning champions include, but are not limited to, Charlize Theron and Statham. Plus, you get a few
How
newbies.
many people in this movie?
That's the point. You get some newbies led by CIA agent Brie Larson, and this is my favorite. Rita Moreno shows up as the Toretto grandmother we've never seen before. 10 years.
Oh my God! Oh,
anyway, so
that is great.
Oh my God!
Yeah, thank you.
The big bad, the super manipulator behind the fiendish plot to rid the world of Torettos.
Joe Box and Little Anthony.
No, are they? Joe Box and Little Anthony are not in the movie. Who's the? I'm sorry, the big.
I'm getting to that. This guy is played by Jason Momoa, Aquaman, Khal Drogo himself.
He's a bad guy here.
Yeah. So how is it? Well, it's 2 hours and 22 minutes long, and it was made at a cost of, Mark, get ready, I know you love the numbers, $340 million.
Wow.
There's never been anything like this.
Well, yeah.
That was just to pay for Vin Diesel's skull polish. Anyway, no, I'm kidding.
How dare you insult Vin Diesel twice now?
The money's all up on the screen, like for a literally bombastic sequence that was shot in Rome with a giant spherical bomb that looks like it was made by Acme Incorporated for Wile E. Coyote.
Bombastic's a ding word. Yeah.
Anyway, So Dom and the company try to stop it as it tries to wreck the Eternal City, and Momoa's Dante character is chuckling away. So how is it? How is Fast X? You want my review? It's truly craptastic. The WGA strike is clearly too late since this was obviously written by AI. I mean, it's less realistic than Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like a cartoon where a mallet squashes Daffy Duck, but he bounces back to full size after wheezing like an accordion. In this analogy, by the way, Vin Diesel is Daffy. Anyway, I was entertained, like going on one of those free fall rides at Six Flags. The ridiculously over-the-top Jason Momoa is the best thing about it. It seems like he's channeling Heath Ledger's Joker, although, it's downright ludicrous, as in more ludicrous than Ludacris, who's in the movie. Anyway, at the end, there are multiple cliffhangers, Mark. This was just part one. I'm not kidding. So get ready for Fast X2 or Fast 11 or Fast X. Go watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
There is no stopping it, though, right? I mean, it almost doesn't matter. It's going to do huge business.
It is. It's so absurd, and yet, I mean, was I entertained? I was. Again, this was one of those movies where you could hear my eyes rolling throughout the entire film.
Wow. So you say you're entertained, but you blast the movie. What is it?
Yeah, because it's sheer idiocy, Mark.
Okay.
Things happen that defy all the laws of physics, and yet these are humans. They're not aliens flying around in a Marvel movie. You're like, what? Anyway. All right, moving on.
There's never been anything like this.
Oh, my God.
To a better film. Writer-director Paul Schrader has been making movies for decades, and he's been making great ones. He wrote Taxi Driver, co-wrote Raging Bull, wrote and directed Blue Collar and American Gigolo, and at 76 years old, he's still getting it done. His last few movies, especially First Reformed and The Card Counter, have been among his best, and now we have Master Gardener, which may not be up to First Reformed, but still impressed me with the slow burn. It's a fascinating look at the complexities of redemption after heinous sin. Joel Edgerton is fantastic as Narvel Roth, the Master Gardener of the title. Thorough, meticulous, a southern Louisiana-based horticultural expert with a team of able helpers who can transform a patch of weeds into a lush floral paradise in short order. They are in the employ of Mrs. Haverhill, a wealthy lady played with relish by Sigourney Weaver. Mrs. Haverhill's relationship with Narvel is kind of prickly, and made more so when she asks him to let her wayward great niece Maya, played by Quintessa Swindell, work as his apprentice. All three of them have secrets that will eventually surface. The situation gets pretty heated, and the whole deal stuck with me for days after seeing it. Edgerton as the gardener digs deep and turns up one of his best performances, but the real master here is Schrader. Master Gardener is in theaters.
I love Edgerton, so that's great. And Schrader, as you say, is just a terrific pedigree. Wow. All right. He likes Master Gardener. So maybe do a flyover on Fast X and land at Master Gardener.
My favorite new movie this week, though, I liked it more than Master Gardener. One of my favorites this year is Sanctuary, a two-hander that seduces you, messes with you, and keeps you guessing throughout. It zigs when you expect it to zag, and it never fails to grip you as you watch two people play a game of cat and mouse in a hotel room over the course of one night. So Christopher Abbott, probably best known as the douchey, preppy boyfriend of Allison Williams' character on HBO's Girls, plays Hal, a young captain of industry, or he will be soon since he's slated to take over the family corporation after father's death. Margaret Qualley, so impressive as one of Charlie Manson's girls in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and as the manipulative good time girl in the recent South American war zone romance Stars at Noon, plays Rebecca, a strong-willed woman who shows up at Hal's room for what appears to be some serious business. But what's her real agenda and what is his? As their masks are dropped, we think we know until we don't. What develops in Sanctuary is something romantic and sexy and scary and unexpected. It's a thriller. It's a rom-com. It's a psychological drama. It is all that and more, buddy. Quali, by the way, happens to be the daughter of Andy McDowell. Yeah, she's a Nepo baby. I have wanted to actually use the term for a while now. Anyway, she's a Nepo baby.
But she didn't use the name McDowell.
Yeah, she didn't.
So give her credit.
Care. She's great. Yeah. She's a better actress than Mom. And Abbott is terrific here. Their chemistry is like off the charts. Well-deserved kudos to director Micah Bloomberg and screenwriter Pavel Burian. I loved Sanctuary. Can you tell? Highly recommended, but it's intense. You'll need to remember your safe word if you watch it. Sanctuary is in theater.
Wow. Sounds like there's a lot going on. Love it. Love it. You want to hit us with one more real quick before we wrap up?
I can do it. I can bang one out. Something that's sat on the back burner for a couple weeks. It's called RMN. It's the smart, sensitive Romanian filmmaker, Christian Mungo, who did 4 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days. He's at the helm, and he's made a scathing and sometimes brutally witty movie about xenophobia and class division in a small, contemporary Transylvanian town. No vampires, unless you consider, the people taking advantage of immigrant workers.
Xenophobia is a dinger. Go ahead,
the plot kicks into gear when a local man who has been working in Germany screws up on the job and has to return home to the village where his estranged wife still lives with their young son. Our anti-hero does get to reunite with his ex-lover in town, but things are less than ideal there as the economy's in free fall. High-paying jobs are non-existent, and the immigrant workers who are willing to take on minimum wage gigs are, shall we say, darker-skinned, generating discontent and flat-out bigotry from a vocal part of the white community, who also express a disdain for the Romani or Gypsies in the area. Not white enough, I guess. As the situation worsens in a lot of different ways, the scapegoating threatens to escalate into violent reprisals. RMN is a lean and pointed take and takedown of something that has become all too familiar in the U.S., hatred of the other. And it delivers a punch that targets those guilty of divisive behavior and lays out the tragedy that can result. It's not, a lesson. You're not going to school here. It's a great movie, but it does have that message, and it packs a punch.
Wow. Derisive is a ding word.
It's in theaters and probably soon to be available on streaming. RMN, highly recommended. But Sanctuary was my favorite.
Yeah, RMN, you just heard it. It's there's a lot going on. He really liked it. Sanctuary, he loved. It's the zig and the zag. That's all zagging and zigging when you think there's going to be zigging and there's zagging. It takes you across all kinds of zigs and zags, and it's sexy and twisted. Christopher Abbott, Margaret Qualley, Andy McDowell's daughter. Master Gardener from Paul Schrader he liked, with Edgerton, and great performances. But the real standout work of the great Paul Schrader, he says, is again standout, although not quite as standoutish as some of his other offerings. Still very, very strong. Very happy with it. And Fast X, the bloated movie that sounds like everyone in Hollywood at least had 1 or 2 days of a shoot on it. Michael says it's crazy. It's a waste of a script because there's not much script there, but oddly, it's a ride.
Craptastic, I believe was what he said.
Yes, craptastic was the ding word that we didn't ding at the time. Craptastic is, I'm looking for that on a movie poster near me, Michael. I think that's a great way to describe it.
Well done, Mark Cliff's Notes Thompson. You did a great job there.
We love having you here. Have a great, great week. Michael, thank you for taking time out of your Friday always to be with us. We will look for you in the Marina Times. Did you have any questions for the witness before I excuse the witness from?
No, thank you for the wonderful reviews. We'll be looking for some of those. I did have a question for you, though. You said this TV series was so good about the AI. Mrs. Davis?
Yes, I loved it. It's crazy.
I sought it out, but man, is it bloody, Michael Snyder.
Oh, it's not for children.
Did you watch it
with the kids?
Did you watch it with the kids, Kim?
No.
Okay.
But it was even like for me, I thought, oh my God, what's happening?
Wait a
Kim
minute.
has a childlike quality, Michael, that can't be ruffled if you in the future.
Wait. Kim, you didn't accidentally start streaming Mrs. Psycho, did you?
No, I didn't.
It was Mrs. Davis.
We will, Mrs. Davis. I hope that we'll note the gore in future reviews even more prominently than we perhaps have in the past. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye, Michael. Bye-bye. Wow. Michael Snyder, everyone. Well, it's hard to believe, Kim. We have reached the end of our magnificent show.
Indeed.
Is there anything I need to attend to before I wrap up? You did receive the Rod of Equity and Mercy today. I felt that you were, wasn't unexpected, to be perfectly honest, not quite as grateful as maybe a lot of others have been as they've received it.
When you did this, a crown
Oh my God.
miraculously appeared on my head.
You are wearing a crown. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I think it's a 3 oh my gods, to be perfectly
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes. For those who are not seeing but only hearing, I will tell you that Kim has what I would say is a tasteful crown.
Thank you.
That is being rocked on her beautiful head.
Yeah.
So, I want to take this opportunity to thank Miguel Ponder. Big shout out. Thank you for the $20 super sticker. A lot of these people helped, like Miguel did, get you to the finish line, Kim.
Thank you, everyone.
It was a big fundraiser day here on YouTube, and maybe it'll be accompanied by a big fundraiser weekend on Patreon and PayPal.
Thank you.
Congratulations, says Linda. Yeah. Vilma also threw a little something in for you, $5 from Vilma.
There you go.
And Joe, of course, Joe Fong. Big shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Appreciate all of that and all of your, all of your many ways that you support us. Joe is a big supporter of the show. You can support the show in all the ways you do. The biggest way is just by being here every day with us. We're on from 10 to noon, but you can check us out anytime. Subscribe to the show, please. Hit the subscription bar, share the show. It's a good way. We're just looking for 11,780. Not a lot. I'm just trying to get...
I just want to find 11,780.
Yeah, so we have about 500 to go to get to 11,780. We're still trying to figure out what we might do. When we get to 11,780, we'll figure out something. Yeah, it's going to be a party. Everybody hit the like button. We did great with the likes today, Judy says. I can't see them while we're on the air here, but thank you for smashing the like.
With your iron rod.
Have a great weekend, all. We'll be back on Monday. Big shows next week, actually. Shadow will be here next week.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
He's got a special anniversary to share.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
See you back here Monday. Thank you. Till then, bye-bye.
All right, now, everybody.
Oh, Kim, I'm going to take...